Hello, everybody. This is Bruce from Oregon. It's the Bruce from Oregon Show. This is episode 0. It might be the first, it might be the last. Who knows? Today, I am recording another episode of our Management Best Known Practices, Management Fundamentals video series. We're going to be talking about instructions and why instructions are important and how they differ from examples. Okay. But before we get into that, we have some moose on the screen. We got Moose on the Loose. That's the search for today. Because, guys, I am pondering moose van life, moose on the loose. I am considering getting a Class B van RV, selling my home here in the great state of Oregon, and starting van life for a short amount of time while I'm in fake retirement, and then buying a house in Wisconsin, back in good old South Central, not South Central Los Angeles, but South Central Wisconsin. And then, finishing out my fake retirement there, getting a nice remote work job or local job there near Madison, Wisconsin, and then doing that for a little bit. So if you're interested in that content, I may be starting a whole new playlist, Moose on the Loose, and we'll see how that goes. I may also film a members-only video looking at some different RV options and seeing if anybody has any thoughts on these options. In any case, I'm doing some spring cleaning in December. I've got a drop box outside, put a lot of old furniture into it. Things are happening, guys, but today we're going to talk about instructions versus examples. So let's get into that. Quick video. I always say that, and then it's never a quick video, but we'll see. Okay, so what are instructions? Because a definition is always the best place to start. Okay, so we've got the dictionary definitions here for instructions. Okay, a direction or order. That's nice. So somebody giving a command, for example. Number 2, detailed information telling how something should be done, operated, or assembled. Yes, and I like this definition. Always study the instructions supplied. Now, here's the thing I found as a manager, as a tech employee over the years. You can never have instructions that are too detailed or too well written or too many instructions. That's number 1. If you're writing a set of instructions, you should always have in the back of your mind that your instructions, you could go do a round 2 and make them even better. A round 3, make them even better. Okay. Always be improving your instructions. The other thing about instructions that I wanted to mention, it's very important to separate out capabilities and instructions. So a set of instructions is going to have a starting point and an ending point that is a goal. A lot of times what I see people do in instructions, they'll write a wiki page or a Word document or something like that. And they'll say, well, if you encounter problem X, here's what you can do about it. Or if you want to do this optional thing XYZ, here's how to do that. What I really recommend is thinking about every single set of instructions that you're going to create as an encapsulated single set of steps to do one specific thing. So, for example, if we're talking about software and we're writing software and we want to go, get the software and compile it and then run it from start to finish. This should be a single set of step-by-step instructions that the person you're writing the instructions for is going to execute one step at a time. You don't need to intersperse it with, well, if you want to do this different thing, if you want to use an optional integrated development environment. If you have trouble with something, here's some troubleshooting. You can have all that in like a frequently asked questions list or something like that, but keep it separate from the concise end-to-end instructions. Instructions need to be fully comprehensive to get you from point A to point B. You have nothing. You're just at the beginning of your instructions, and you're a brand new employee. You've never done this before. Imagine someone like that when you're writing your instructions. Someone that just doesn't know how to do anything yet. They just joined yesterday. They joined your team yesterday. And then you want to get to the end, point B, where maybe that's running a test with some software or, you know, the completed build of an item that you got from IKEA. You want it to be comprehensive. You want it to have all the instructions for the thing you want to do, but nothing extraneous. Don't add in extra stuff. And the other thing about high quality instructions, you have to have the precise steps with good syntax. Don't generalize. If somebody needs to, you know, open a specific software program, you know, the instructions should be very precise about how to do that and what it is. Don't generalize in your instructions. Be very specific. Okay, now, the other thing I wanted to mention here, what is the difference between instructions and an example? Because I have been in meetings, technical meetings, with people who are getting paid the same or more money as me, okay? And I said, we need instructions for X, Y, and Z. And what I got was an example, not instructions, okay? And keep in mind, these are people getting paid more than me. But in any case, instructions are the step-by-step process you have to follow to do something. An example, let's go to an example. An example is a particular instance of something that is representative of a group or an illustration of something that's generally described. Let's go back to the IKEA furniture. If you get a bunch of parts in a cardboard box and tools and screws and dowels and who knows what, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't read Swedish. How do I put this together? You need instructions. A picture of the cabinet that you're trying to build, once it's fully done, or a literal cabinet that's fully built, is an example. It is not instructions. For example, that's very meta. Let's say I want to make a chocolate cake. Okay? And what I need is the recipe or the instructions to make the chocolate cake from my raw ingredients. An example, like, you know, if somebody says they want to make a chocolate cake and they don't know how, and you walk up to them and hand them a carrot cake that's already baked, and you say, well, here's a cake example. Good luck with your chocolate cake. This is useless. I don't need an example. I need instructions. So, as a manager, as an employee, keep in mind the difference between examples and instructions and know when one could be illustrative versus not. Okay? If somebody needs instructions, your example is not going to help them. There may be cases where people do need to see an example of the finished product or the finished process so they know that they finished through the instructions properly. So sometimes you need both, instructions and an example, so that somebody who finishes up can know that they were successful at the end. They have a benchmark to compare to. So that would be good. Okay, what else do they say? Example comes from the Latin word for specimen. Okay, that's nice. If you want an example of mainstream teen fashion, find a 13-year-old in a mall. Why is this part of this AI summary? I mean, maybe if it's your friend's 13-year-old kid, you could ask them about fashion. I don't recommend walking up to a random 13-year-old in the mall and start grilling them about fashion. That's like a recipe for bear mace. Like, don't do that. I don't understand. This is a weird definition, guys. But anyway, okay. So now that we understand why instructions are so important, You want somebody to be able to independently reproduce your work with your instructions without you intervening or without them having to go to you with 6 emails and 12 questions and running into 16 problems. Okay? And then, of course, examples are insufficient to be instructions, but they may be necessary, okay, along with instructions. So we know that. And we need to be as specific as possible in instructions. I've had people give me instructions where they say, you have to go edit this file, but they don't give you any precise syntax about or line numbers in the file to edit. They just say, go change some things in this file to suit your needs. You're like, no, I need to be able to reproduce your instructions that you've already done precisely. That's the other thing about instructions. Oh my gosh, before we get on to the final thing. You want your instructions. This is the thing. This is why we need to separate like frequently asked questions or troubleshooting or generalized instructions from specific instructions. I've had cases where somebody does something and they say, hey, I had a problem. Help me troubleshoot. And I say, okay, what are your instructions to reproduce the issue that you faced? And what this should be is a step-by-step process or commands or whatever it is, or part of the instructions that can get me from nothing to the problem that the person encountered perfectly. And someone will say, well, just follow the general instructions. But it doesn't have the specific instructions that that person used to encounter the problem. If you're reporting a problem or you're trying to reproduce a problem that somebody developed, you have to have the precise instructions, not general instructions. So when you're a manager, your team may need to develop content and publish content that is general and specific. So you may need places for both of these. Okay, that's my advice. Specific instructions and then general instructions or troubleshooting separately. Okay, the canonical example of why instructions are so important and documentation of instructions is so important are these exercises, like the peanut butter and jelly sandwich exercise. Now, if you've never seen this before, this is something that I recall doing in maybe 6th grade, where the teacher says, okay, we have bread, we have peanut butter, we have jelly, we have a knife, we have a plate, you know. You kids need to tell me how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, step by step. What are the steps? How do I do it? Give me the steps one at a time. Write them down. And, you know, when you're in 6th grade, you're just, you know, you're a little kid. Your brain is, you know, thinking about Nintendo or whatever. In any case, maybe my brain is still thinking about Nintendo. But anyway, then the teacher will always go through and what they will do is they will literally follow the instructions, very literally, very pedantically. So, for example, if you say, put the peanut butter on the bread, like that's what this lady's going to do. I'm only going to play like 3 seconds of this. But like, if the instruction's like, put the peanut butter on the bread, she's just going to, there, she put the peanut butter on the bread. Like, oh no, this doesn't make a sandwich. This is, oh, put the jelly on the bread. Oh no. Is this a good sandwich, kids? Oh, can you eat this? And then the other thing is like when they say, okay, open the jar of peanut, I'm going to stop this. When they say like, open the jar of peanut butter and put the peanut butter from inside the jar onto the bread, the teacher will use their hands instead of the knife. And then peanut butter is getting everywhere. And all the kids are like, whoa, this is chaos. This is why instructions are so important, guys. And the documentation of your instructions is so important. Okay, so you can go probably, if you just search like instructions important and peanut butter and jelly, like this is some video from Georgia Southern College of Education. It's called The Importance of Clear Instructions, presented by I2STEM-E, which, you know, STEM is science, technology, I don't know, engineering and math or something like that. It's all good stuff. You can go find these videos. This one looks pretty good. Look, it only has 4 thumbs up, guys. Go give these. Look, it has 2,000 views and 5 thumbs up. What the heck? Go give these guys some thumbs up. You can find other video examples of this. Here's one right here from EL Education. It's got the kids. You can go watch this and show your team as a manager. Maybe it'd be a good, staff meeting exercise or something to watch one of these videos. It's only 4 minutes long. And it's going to be critical, especially when your team is working with other teams across divisions or across groups or across the company in a large company. If you're writing instructions for end customers, these are going to be super important things, guys. Okay, so if you've stuck around this long, this is just a quick video I wanted to make about why instructions are important, what should go in good instructions, and how instructions are different than examples. That's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm Bruce from Oregon. This has been the Bruce from Oregon Show, management best known practices. Thanks so much, everyone. Talk to you later.